we're going to do a little Bible showcase. See, I found all the old notes that I had when I first attempted to read the Bible in high school. Because I'd lost that, I couldn't find it. But here are the notes that I had, and I figure maybe we'll read some of the passages that I noted down. Got a little folder thing in those plastic file things, and there are quite a few pages here, and I've only really gotten up to Judges in the notes anyway. The first little note stapled up here because it's a little tiny piece of paper and it's not really in order, and I don't exactly know where to put it. No, I guess it's the second book, Exodus 29. All this is what Satanists are accused of. So let me see, what's Exodus 29 here? Exodus 29, the ceremony for the dedication of Aaron and his sons as priests. Get a young bull and 2 rams with no defects, and bread made out of yeast, without yeast, and thin sheets of sweetened bread, mingled with oil, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, bread and oil, place the bread in the basket, blah, blah, blah. Bathe Aaron's sons, blah, 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 blah. Take the anointing, pour it on his head, next dresses his sons in the robes, blah, blah, blah. Then bring the young bull to the tabernacle, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon its head, and you shall kill it before the Lord, and at once of the entrance of the tabernacle, place its blood upon the horns of the altar, smearing it on with your finger, and pour the rest of the base of at the base of the altar. And take all the fat that covers the inner parts, also the gallbladder and 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, and burn them upon the altar. Then take the body, including the skin and the dung, outside the camp, and burn it as a sin offering. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's get back on track. Genesis. Let's see. Genesis 2:18. Women labeled helper to suit man's needs. I probably don't have to look that one up. Genesis 3:16. Man to be woman's master. Again, Genesis 4:14. Being separated for God means that he's evil. Let me see. Genesis 4:14. What's that part of the story here? I'm not going to read all of these in one video. You know, there might be a couple parts. 4:14. Where's 14? Here. There's 4 and there's 14. For you have banished me from my farm and from you, and made me a fugitive and a tramp, and everyone who sees me will try to kill me, said Cain, replied to the Lord. My punishment is greater than I can bear. They won't kill you, for I have given them. For I will give 7 times your punishment to anyone who does. The Lord put an identifying mark on Cain as a warning not to kill him. So Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Not sure if that one's all that important. Descendants of the sinner Cain invent music. That's something I always found quite interesting. The descendants of Cain, the son cast out of the paradise, or cast out of the family, wherever they were now at that point. His ancestors invented music. Evil people invented music. Anyway, let's see. God gave up and flooded the earth. Laziness again. Genesis 6:8. Genesis 8:20. Sacrifice of animals to God again. Cruel and more satanic. Genesis 8:21-22. Those parts I wrote down as cleverly written that God will never do it again, because when you're trying to create a religion, always make the evidence impossible to find so that people won't look. Let's see, Genesis 8:21-22. How does it word this here? 8:21. And Jehovah was pleased with the sacrifice and paid to him, and said to himself, well, the sacrifice that he paid to himself, and said to himself, where was I will never do it again. I will never again curse the earth, destroying all living things, even though man's bent is always toward evil from his earliest youth, because you created him that way. And even though he does such wicked things, as long as the earth remains, there will be springtime and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night. Because I never flooded you in the first place, so I will never flood you again, says God. Well, he didn't say that I never flooded you, but, you know, that's just a conclusion that any sane human will come to, reading ancient stories from a book of bigotry. Let's see, Gen 9:2-6, stating that animals are less than man just because man is in likeness with God. It's like, we're all organisms, to raise ourselves above for any other reason than just having a smarter brain is just arrogance. And arrogance is pride, and pride is supposed to be a sin. But arrogance and pride are pretty much the only things that Christians use. That's the definition of faith, is believing in something without evidence, or trying to convince others of something without evidence. And that is pride beyond arrogance. Let's see. And what I thought was funny, that an entire tribe, an entire family of people became forever cursed just because one man found Noah drunk and naked in his tent. An entire family cursed. And that's justice? And God allowed this cursing to happen? Again, that's justice? This is a just God? This is a moral God? I mean, come on. Let's see. More gruesome animal sacrifice for no more reason than to please God in Genesis 15:9. Let's see. I also wrote down a couple words like Bethel is the house of God, and one of the first lines of one of the books is, I think one of the chapters is leaving Bethel, and I used that as a internet username back in the late 90s at one point. And I wrote down like the 10 Commandments and my ideas of them. Worship no other God, programming tool. Make no idols, images of animals or plants. And again, another programming tool, even though now they use crosses all the time. Don't use Lord's name in vain, god damn it. Fear tool. Sunday is the rest day. Space filler. Honor mom and dad. Generally known, so it's a space filler. No murder. We already know that, so it's a space filler. Well, that's really the only one. No murder and no stealing. Don't kill, don't steal. No adultery, that's kind of a space filler, because that is, people shouldn't cheat on themselves, they should be faithful, but that's not a crime. Don't lie, well, it's actually not bear false witness on your neighbors, which technically means don't lie, but in the context of the verses, it's more like in a court type of setting. Don't lie in court about your neighbors if there's a dispute going on type thing, which I agree with. That's a good one. And don't envy others. Another one that I think is actually a good rule. A lot of people defend the don't covet thy neighbor's wife and thy neighbor's goods and all that stuff. But that's the basis of capitalism. But capitalism is it's not stupid. Capitalism is the cause of all the horrible things in this world. I mean, we are going to be living in 1984 because of capitalism, because of the assholes at the top who want to keep all the little people down. It's just what's happening. It's not a conspiracy. It's kind of out and blatant now. It's like all the evils that science fiction writers have feared and been writing about all these last several decades is coming true right now, it seems. Okay, let's see. I moved on to Exodus. There's more anti-animal, pro-human garbage. 21:28. Exodus 22:2 says it's an excellent law, but 22:3 works on assumptions. So let's see what that said. Exodus 22:2. 22:2. If a thief is caught in the act of breaking into a house and is killed, the one who killed him is not guilty. Okay, maybe I had different opinions when I was a teenager. But if it happens in the daylight, it must be presumed to be murder, and the man who kills him is guilty. Yes, because thievery only happens at night. Let's see, 22:18 Exodus. Some anti-Wiccan foreseeings. There's probably no mediums and wizards and witches and stuff. Let's see. It's all, propaganda to slander the other people's religions so that your religion wins, because that's all Christianity is about, winning. Human winning. It's not about God's. Let's see, 22:18 for Exodus 22:18. And they will conquer your enemies, and your offspring will be a blessing to all the nations of the earth, all because you have obeyed me. What? Oh, it's probably the ending of it. I'll bless you with incredible blessings, multiply your descendants of countless thousands and millions, like the stars above, and you in the sky, and like the sands along the seashore, and they'll conquer your enemies. Okay, that part, I don't know why I linked that idea to it. But I said 22:21 is a rule that Christians never follow. Oh, I'm still in Genesis. What the hell? That's why I'm getting the wrong passages for the Exodus one. Okay, Exodus 22:2 then. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry for wasting your time here. 22:2. Okay, that's the thief one. So I was right. 22:18. A sorceress shall be put to death. Yeah, more anti-Wiccan. Because magic and wizardry does not exist, so putting people to death for committing magic and wizardry is genocide. A form of genocide, anyway. 22:21. You must not oppress a stranger in any way. Remember, you yourselves were foreigners in the land of Egypt. That's the one that Christians disobey the most. And I said 23:2 and 3 is also a rule broken by most Christians. Don't join mobs intent on evil. When on the witness stand, don't be swayed in your testimony by the mood of the majority present. And do not slant your testimony in favor of a man just because he is poor. Well, what happens these days is they slant the testimony because they're rich. Unless they meant slanting against it, but it sounded like it said slanting in favor. Yeah, it said in favor. So yeah, let's see. And they said 23:7, the rule most broken by Christians. Let's see. Keep far away from falsely charging anyone with evil. Never let an innocent person be put to death. I will not stand for this. There's a little asterisk for the actual translation. 23:7. I will not stand for this literally. I will not acquit the wicked. Not like this, whatever. And another rule, second most disobeyed by Christians. Do not oppress foreigners. You know what it's like to be a foreigner. Again, same one. Breaking rule from 23:9, which is that one I just read. Do not oppress foreigners. 23:24 says, you must not worship the gods of these other nations, nor sacrifice to them in any way, and you must not follow the evil example of these heathen people. You must utterly conquer them and break down their shameful idols. Do not oppress foreigners. You must utterly conquer them and break down their shameful idols. Contradiction. Same page, same book. Exodus 23:9, 23:24. Let's see. And what does it say? 24:2. It says, Moses alone shall come near to the Lord, and remember, none of the ordinary people are permitted to come up into the mountain at all, which allows the suspicion of fraud that Moses is pretending to be talking to a god. That is the absolute, that should make people stop reading the Bible right there and say, fuck, he just made this shit up. We're just reading a book based on invented stories. Throw this fucker away. Maybe more to come later.